With everything going on in the world today, are we suffering now more than ever?
So what I was doing in my journey is I've been assessing, are you where you want to be? And given the situation in the world today, like we're talking about, I felt I want to be out there even more. I didn't think I was doing enough. And I started feeling bad about myself, almost to the point of even thinking I'm lazy. All of a sudden, my muscles started failing me. Within a 3-month period, every single muscle in my body, my mouth, my neck, my back, arms, hands, would fail at the slightest little activity. Now, me having said I'm not working hard enough, now I couldn't work that way at all. I'm telling you right now, I look at the world and my phone calls with people, I can't tell you the illnesses that people are experiencing all over the world, globally. The issue has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with...
Are you ready to shine? Shine bright. Woo-hoo! Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wondered why there's so much suffering in the world, especially in the world today, then do we have the show for you. Today, I'll be talking with a dear friend, psychic medium, and best-selling author, Vincent Genna, on what's going on in the world and the meaning behind all our suffering. So welcome back to the show, Vincent. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine, that's for sure. And we need a lot of shining going on today and the rest of the year.
I couldn't agree more. Now, I don't have a political bone in my body. I'm not a red, I'm not a blue, I'm not a black, I'm not a white. I guess I could be a zebra. But before we dive into things, I've got to ask this question. As we're recording this, and this will come out a week later, we're witnessing a stock market crash today and massive tariffs leading to countless people potentially suffering. Do you think, Vincent, there's more suffering in the world now than ever?
Absolutely, 100% more than ever before. And statistically, it even has shown that, because we have never had so many crises in a row than this time period. It's one right after another. So I am not surprised that the stock market has crashed. And I hate to tell everybody, it's going to keep crashing. It's going to crash more because everything on this planet is completely unstable.
Don't know where to go with that, except I just want to put prayers out there too for everybody in the Midwest and the States today, because I know we're about to see 500,000 year, whatever we want to call it or label it, flooding over the next couple days, which will have taken place by the time this airs. So I guess big picture, I've heard you mention this. I can't believe I'm going to mention this too. Would you call this the apocalypse?
Oh, wow. That's everybody keeps asking me that same question. And you can create the apocalypse more than once. However, this is the big kahuna apocalypse, okay, that's going on. If you ever go into the book of Revelation and you start reading the symbols in there, right? There are the 7 seals that are supposed to be broken. Well, quite honestly, if we look at the first 6, they have been broken. And including in those 6, were supposed to be famine, fire, pestilence, and plague, war, and blood, and killing. Now, those were represented by each horseman that came down, right? Every time a seal was broken. Well, again, symbolically, that all meant what we were creating. We actually have, Michael, another Sodom and Gomorrah going on right now as we're speaking. The whole story of Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't about God destroying Sodom and Gomorrah because they were all sinning over there. It's a message about how we're capable of destroying ourselves by using the force negatively. You look like you want to say something and interject it.
There's 2 thoughts, actually 3 coming up. One, I've never had this before in an interview. A fly just flew up my nose.
Oh.
I'm like, what does that mean? Two,
Don't take a deep breath.
oh my God. Two, you said create. We've got to get to that word. And three, I'm thinking pillars of salt and don't look back. Does this mean we get to look forward and create where we want to go? And that is the error of our ways, if we're going to use some biblical terminology right now, is that we're not looking forward to where we want this beautiful game, this beautiful life, this beautiful existence to evolve.
That I love the way you said that. That's a great way of putting it. We do. Here's the interesting thing about the looking back part. We don't want to look back to see all the things we kept replicating that were wrong.
Thank
all
you.
right. That was the story, right? Is Sodom and Gomorrah was acting in a negative way. All the people were acting negatively. We don't want to look back and recreate that. That was the message about nobody looking back in Lot's family as he left there. But it wasn't just about looking forward. It was about looking where you are right now, because that's what you have to change is right now. And when we're getting back to the book of Revelation and the apocalypse, right, we're doing a lot of self-destroying right now. You know, everybody thinks that, all right, this isn't affecting me because it's Israel on the other side of the world. It's over Russia and the Ukraine and everything. But they don't remember that we're all connected, number one, energetically. So all that negative energy is going into the universe and is affecting everybody on this planet. That's number one. Number two, how many things, bombs, can you hit the planet with before the planet's going to respond on the other side of the world? It's moving the plate tectonics. If you want to go scientific, you've got all of this stuff going on this planet, disrupting the entire balance of it. What's going to happen? All these storms, all the tornadoes and the tsunamis and the earthquakes and the volcanoes coming alive again. You keep banging this planet with bombs, that's what's going to happen physically, not just to add to the negative energy that we're creating, fighting each other, killing each other. So yes, are things going to be happening to us individually? Yes, absolutely, which is why we have to keep that in mind. That's what looking forward is all about then. And just what you said is you have to look to the positive that is coming up, not just the negative that has been occurring. We have to create the positive, Michael. That's so big there, so big and so important. And now is the time to do that.
Thank you. And I have to get, there's a whole arc I want to follow, but I have to get to some positives right now, or people are going to jump off of this show and go run and hide. And I want to bring people's energy up. And I want to get to your story in a few minutes. However, is this a time period where it is easiest if we have our eye on the ball, for lack of another reason, a way to put it, it is easiest to create that positive shift despite the appearance, the outer appearance, objects in mirror are not as they appear to be, that the energy is so over the top right now that we can Tai Chi that energy, take it around and use it to move us forward in a chosen, more positive direction.
Well, here is the thing, and it always sounds like I'm being negative to point out and make awarenesses, but the problem is you can't heal what you don't see needs healing. And now is the time that we're going to have the greatest energy to be able to do that, not just because of us individually starting to wake up and there's more people on the planet awakening, kind of like now what Lot wasn't able to find back in Sodom and Gomorrah. We are finding more people that are waking up. So that is going to make it easier. That's on one perspective. The other perspective is astrologically, this is going to be one of the most powerful years that we've had to be able to turbocharge every movement, every time you're stepping forward, anything that you're doing for self-improvement, spiritual growth, creativity, putting yourself out there and moving in a direction of fulfillment and going after dreams and all of that. It's going to be so turbocharged that all you have to do is say, oh, I'm going to do this. And man, that energy is going to just move you forward. So yes, we have everything working for us right now, which is going to make it easier, but it's still going to require that self, that introspection, going within and healing within. So yes, we can put our eye on the whole, the gestalt of everything, be it the planet being each other, being the whole group, but it has to start with the individual. And yes, that's the part that's going to be turbocharged, self-healing, cleaning out that closet, making room for the positive by getting rid of the negative. You know how many things we got packed away in that darn closet psyche of ours.
Has that closet, yes, has that closet been locked down like a vault for not just our lives, but for thousands of years? Are we stuck living an old earth paradigm? And that's why it appears to be blowing up right now.
It's yes, absolutely. The problem is, and this is actually much of my work and even my book, The Secret That's Holding You Back, was all about your brain, the human brain. The two highest functions of the human brain is to keep us alive and to protect us in order to keep us alive. Well, yes, all that negative stuff that's in the closet, your brain is actually and purposely suppressing it and repressing it and storing it away in order for us to just function on a daily basis. So we call it, in the psychotherapy world, we call that coping skills. But as we're recognizing, we are not meant as high spiritually magnificent divine beings to just cope with life. We are meant to thrive in life. And that's why it hasn't been working, because so much of what we're doing is just coping, getting through, rather than really thriving, going and believing we can achieve our dreams and actually having them come to the surface, that passion, that purpose. We came into the world with plenty passion and purpose, but it's all hidden and repressed in that closet with all the negative stuff. So by opening up that closet and having the courage to work on that stuff, Michael, that's the beginning. That's what we absolutely need to do in the beginning, is to get and be willing to handle that dark stuff, you know?
Thank you. And there's a lot we can go on in that.
Oh,
the shadow
totally.
world. It's super important. However, I'm going to give you a phrase that I believe you're going to say is totally misled, misunderstood, or completely and totally wrong. Suffering is here to serve us. We need to suffer for growth.
You know how much I hate that phrase. You know what? But that, I'm sorry to say that they even made a religion out of that. And the whole thing is you only have to experience something once to understand it. So get this picture.
Okay.
All the knowledge of the world, all the knowledge of the highest being, divine, Yahweh, Elohim, God, however you want to refer to this power, this deity, is within us. We were created with all of it. That's what was meant by we're created in its image. And that's not just religion. Those were stories that were told purposely and for a reason. So we have all this knowledge. However, we don't know what we know until we experience it. But once we experience it just one time, we now know. The problem is we keep replicating that and repeating it from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime because we don't let go of our past mistakes or lower choices, whatever you want to call them. We don't have restitution and mercy for ourselves. We always have this concept of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So we're allowing ourselves to keep going through suffering because we're trying to make up for something. And we don't need to make up for anything, So the idea that we grow from suffering is not true. We grow because of our souls and our divine being, not because of the suffering we're going through. Of course, we're going to turn lemons into lemonade if you throw them at us. That's going to be a natural thing because that's what the soul does, at least if you allow that to happen. But is it necessary? No, it's not necessary to keep going through it over and over and over again. And it's not even a good attitude to carry with you, that suffering creates growth. It doesn't. The whole reason why this planet is where we are right now is because of all the suffering that everybody has gone through and is going through. So if suffering creates growth, how come it's taking us so long to grow? We've been suffering for a very long time now, thousands of years. We're replicating the same situations over and over. They just look different in different pictures with different clothes and different time periods, but we keep doing the same thing over. We should be the most advanced species around with all the suffering. If you base it on that theory, and Albert Einstein said it the best. He said, you cannot solve a problem with the same set of beliefs that created it.
Yes.
And so the idea that suffering is necessary, or that you're going to grow even stronger if you go through suffering, those are ideas that we have to get rid of. Totally.
It's interesting, so many directions to go. Again, when I had my first near-death experience, and I saw the world, and I saw the connectivity, and I saw the love and everything, then my ego swung in the back door and said that I must martyr myself to teach others. I must push through. I must slay the dragons. I must drive myself so far and so hard to help others, that I had my second near-death experience that said, dude, you're completely wrong. And the message is, so you asked, why, if all this suffering was here to serve us, why haven't we grown? And I would say scar tissue. We actually get scar tissue from the suffering, and scar tissue you have to actually break through and massage and be willing to look at in order to heal. But two things come up when we deal with suffering. The messages that come up to my head is, I'm not worthy and I don't deserve it. So I need to suffer in order to grow. I can go past my local church and see that on a billboard or something. And I'm not picking on a church or a temple or a religion or in anything, but we feel that that suffering is required because something is not worthy inside of us to simply have or be or discover the majestic nature that is our soul.
We receive messages like that from the time we come out of our parents. And even before we come out, we're receiving those negative messages, right? We hear more no's in a lifetime. The average human being hears more no's than yeses. So right from the get-go, we're being told we're not good enough. We're not good enough. We come home with a C on a report card or a B on a report card, and maybe a parent turns around and says, well, okay, why didn't you get an A? You could get an A if you try a little harder. Or any of the other messages in life. We're always hearing, you have to work hard in order to succeed and make money. You have to, so if you don't work hard, well, then you're not deserving of it. And so we got that message going on. As a matter of fact, I'm telling you right now, I created a physical issue for myself because I let slip in for a moment that attitude of that I'm not working hard enough. I'm not working hard enough. I do a lot of work. I'm reaching thousands of people all over the world, right? And I'm doing wonderful podcasts like for people like you. And here I am thinking I'm not working hard enough. Because when I was a kid, I didn't want to mow lawns at 13 years old to make a couple of bucks like my next door neighbor. And my parents wailed on me for that. You're lazy, you just want easy things in life. And I did want some things to be easy in my life, but I worked hard at other things, but I never felt I worked hard enough because of those messages we receive. And then when we're looking at everybody else who's struggling so hard, and I'm turning around going, oh, wait, I'm not working as hard as him. I'm not working as hard as her. She's working so hard. And the funny thing about all this hard work, Michael, when we get to the other side, we're going to laugh at ourselves and say, why did we even think we were supposed to do it like that? I strained so hard in order to achieve anything and didn't realize that it was much easier than that. Are we meant to do some work? You're meant to do as much work as it feels good to do. You're meant to do as much work as it feels good to do. The moment you go to a place where it doesn't feel good to be working this hard, you've gone too far. You've gone too far. But don't we even have that same attitude with our physical health? Oh my gosh, I started going to the gym before my physical illness occurred and happened to me. I was going to the gym and I felt good. I would only work as hard. I don't believe in no pain, no gain. My body telling me I got pain, that means I got to stop. I'm going too far, right? But I'm watching all the other guys in there and the women in there, and they're pumping and they're working through, and their blood vessels are going to burst in their heads, you know? And guess what? I was a hospice social worker. Those same guys and girls that were working their butts off in order to look really good, they still got cancer. They were still dying young. They had heart disease. They had whatever. It didn't stop that physical part of them from decaying for some reason, right? So the most important work that we ever need to do is self-love work, Michael. Self-love work. And that's more healing than any other work you wind up doing, physically or emotionally. So yes, we trained into believing we have to work so hard at it, but life is meant to be easy, easier, so that you could have enjoyed it by the time you reach the end of this trip, right? So that you could look back and go, wow, that was a fantastic journey. I had fun. I loved it. That's where we need to get.
I can't help thinking about you in the movie Grease then, and the dance scene and the dance off.
You're remembering that, yes. Oh, God. And you know what? There was an aspect of me, hey, doing all those dances, that wasn't the easiest thing, right? But I was having a blast doing it, and with all of those people there, and we had to do these scenes. The gym scene took 2 weeks because people were passing out all over the place from the heat and exhaustion in the gym. We couldn't put air conditioning on because of the sound, right? So it was in the summertime, 110 degrees in the gym. Did I work hard doing that? Absolutely, but I had a blast. It was a different kind of working hard. It was a work that I enjoyed doing. And that's what I said. You work as hard as you enjoy doing it. Any harder, you're going too far.
I do a bunch of different sports, and I've been back in the gym this year, and I've been really excited and having fun. And I lift, at least for my legs, a lot of weight, like set my record of the past 20 years this year. But I do it from this place of joy. I ain't lifting big weights. I am playing. In fact, you put on these 45-pound plates, and the running joke with my wife is I call them potato chips. How many chips are you putting on? We're just going to go lift a few potato chips. It's fun. All right. I want to back up from there. Before we spoke on air, I looked at you having been on someone else's show, and I looked at your face and I said, I need to have Vincent Genna back on the show. And I just said, I can see it. I know what's going on at least a little bit. I need to have him on. Can you share a little bit? We spoke off air and I said, don't, I want to put it in the can. What's been going on, what your journey's been, what you're learning at the moment, because this show is loosely about, we don't need to suffer, but why are we suffering right now? And I think your story might get to the heart of this.
First, everybody needs to understand that we're plugged into power, right? We're just not the Energizer bunny with just batteries. We are plugged into an unlimited power supply, right? That's source. That's number one. Number two, then, what you start believing in, truly believing in, now that that's plugged into power, you start creating for yourself. You don't know that you're creating it. It's all on an unconscious level. But usually you pay attention to the outside world, what the results are in your life, and then you can see what fed into that. Plus, number three, we are physical beings, right? You drive a car, you're going to get a flat tire, okay? So what I was doing in my journey is I've been assessing now. I just turned 70 years old on April 1st. So I'm really excited
Do
about
not
that.
look
I,
it.
I love the year.
Woohoo!
But I was also last year thinking about and realizing I'm going to be 70 next year. Are you where you want to be? I was assessing my work and my career. Family wise, absolutely. I'm a grandfather of five beautiful grandchildren now that from 2 months old all the way up to 18 years old. So it's an absolute joy and a pleasure of that part of my life that my wife and I created. And then I was looking at my career. Did I want to be where I truly wanted to be? And given the situation in the world today, like we're talking about, I felt that I want to be out there even more, right? I
Yep,
want to be out
I'm
there.
with you.
So I started looking at the work that I was doing, and I started looking at the work that other people were doing. And like I said earlier, is I didn't think I was doing enough. And I started feeling bad about myself, almost to the point of even thinking I'm lazy. I wasn't doing as many recordings and podcasts as maybe I should have. Wasn't putting myself out there, even though I was doing as much as I wanted to do. I would have liked to have been out there even more so, but I wasn't getting there. And I was thinking, all right, I'm holding myself back. So there was that natural feeling of, I'm not. And I write about, that's what I call them, the I'm nots. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not deserving enough. I'm not right. So I'm not working hard enough was what I came up with. Within a week, Michael, 1 week of that, because I forgot I was plugged in to that power. Within 1 week, all of a sudden, my muscles started failing me. And you would appreciate this going to the gym. You get that lactic burn and you keep doing a repetition until you get that lactic burn and your muscle fails and you stop. Well, all of a sudden, that was happening from me taking a few steps. And my legs started getting the lactic burn and the muscle would fail. And then it would happen in my arms. Within a 3-month period, every single muscle in my body, my mouth, my neck, my back, arms, hands would fail at the slightest little activity. Now, me having said I'm not working hard enough, now I couldn't work that way at all. It immediately came over because I wasn't being gentle on myself. Now, not all illnesses happen that way. Like I said, we are physical. We have predispositions for things. But why do some things come out and others don't? I'm telling you right now, I look at the world and my phone calls with people, I can't tell you the illnesses that people are experiencing all over the world. Globally, it's not just here, because the issue has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with the economy. It has nothing to do with race, religion. It has nothing to do with whether you're gay, whether you're black, anything. It has to do with that we are humans who forgot our divinity. And everyone's going to experience the exact same problem in different forms. So yes, so are illnesses running rampant all over the place, all over the world? Yes, of course they are, because of all this negative stress, and it makes us feel bad about ourselves. Here I am, I was considering myself at least an evolved spiritual being. Of course, we always can grow more, right? And here I'm believing this of myself, and I had to stop and look and go, wait a minute. I can't, I created this, but I'm forgiving myself for it. That's the first step. And I'm reversing it. I will reverse it as best I can reverse it, right? We like I said, you're driving a car, you're going to get a flat tire every now and then. And I spoke earlier with you off recording about the spiritual bank account. Now, yes, am I in a wheelchair if I'm walking too far? Yes. Do I have a scooter to get around with more and easily? Yes. But I also look at other people who have gone even worse than me, who have it so bad. And now I want people to know that this body doesn't define you, right? You get to define you. The creation source defined you, source, when it created you, made you divine, magnificent being, unlimited. That gets to define you. Each lifetime you get to define you. Nobody else gets to define you, not even your physical experiences. So I'm redefining myself in a way that I know who I am. I've been working on me for the past 42 years, but I'm going even further than that and seeing even more unlimitedness in me, defining myself more as this walking, spiritual, energetic, soulful, loving, compassionate being. And I have to start that feeling about myself then and appreciate who I am truly and know that, again, I'm doing the work I'm meant to do. And I have great joy in doing that. How much that's supposed to be, what level that's supposed to be at, I can't worry about the levels anymore. All I want to be thinking about is the joy that I'm creating for myself and the joy that I can bring to others. That doesn't require fame. It doesn't require, 1,000,001 people buying my books. It just requires me putting that energy out into the world. There's where your success lies. It lies in you realizing that you affect everybody by the way you feel about yourself because you're connected to everybody. That joy, that brings tears to my eyes when I think of the soulful connection. I just did an event which was fabulous in Arizona, in Sedona. And the interesting thing, it was a really bad physical weekend for me. I was really exhausted physically, but I had the most amazing talk and workshop that I gave, that I knew people were coming up to me, that I touched them. And I was like, that's it. That's all I need to do. And that's what I'm learning more about myself and where I'm thinking I'm supposed to be in all this realm. That's the part that doesn't matter. I don't need to define that, and I can surrender that. And the more, that's what you surrender. Surrender where you think you're supposed to be in order to appreciate where you are. And so that is also general for the earth. We are all incredible brothers and sisters here. And the compassion that I am seeing from me being in a wheelchair, my wife wheeling me around and everybody else wanting to grab it and help me, right? They get to experience their own compassion and their own caring for doing that. And I'm like, okay, so if I'm meant to do it that way as well and help people, now is a time that we need to feel compassion. We need to feel caring. We need to feel love for each other. That's what's going to heal everything. And so I'm giving people the opportunity to do that. That's been part of this journey. Now, will I totally reverse this? I don't know, but I am using it right now. I'm doing the best I can with it. I'm not letting it get me down. Okay, so I get tired, I will go and rest. And then I'm, perked up a little bit more and can do more again, So we have to stop limiting ourselves with the idea that we have no control, that we're victims. We have to get rid of that word, even though it seems like we're victim to all of this stuff. We can actually affect it in a positive way. And that's the direction we're going in now. And people are starting to wake up, and we can get to that critical mass that overturns all of this negative. So the seventh seal in the apocalypse is the seal of peace. That's next. Harmony. No gnashing of the teeth anymore. No crying, no pain, no suffering. What that looks like, how it's supposed to appear here, I'm not even looking at that. All I'm knowing is that we are moving in the direction of awakening, which is the most important thing we need to do. And we will, because I believe in us. And I know people like you and me and all the other spiritual teachers would have left this planet a long time ago if we didn't know it has a chance. And that's what people have to know. We have a chance.
Age 10, thank you so much for sharing. Age 10, was in a bad bike accident. I've had a few boo-boos this lifetime. And I had 4 or 5 surgeries over a period of 2 years. And I spent the better part, and I never talk about it. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on air till today. I spent the better part of 2 years on a wheelchair or crutches. And that was part of I think that heart cracking open that allows me to have such gonna cry here, care and compassion for others that served me. It's I don't think that part wasn't the suffering. The suffering, and I guess in that case is what you place on it. And when you mentioned wheelchair and scooter, I just couldn't help but thinking, what kind of a fun colored scooter can you get? A pink scooter? Can you have little streamers coming off of the handlebars and on the wheelchair? And I'm not saying this cold and callous. I've been in the wheelchair. Can you put little spoke dealies, little colored things, that fall with the spokes, or cards that go fuff, 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 fuff. When we play with the existence, rather than put ourselves in the victimhood of the existence, we completely shift that energy to a whole new paradigm, not because we had to go through the suffering, but when we stop looking at it as suffering and look at it as or something even better is coming from this, we rock it.
Totally. I love the way you said that. And I got the images right away, because that's what I said on my scooter. I want to get the side view mirrors. I want to hold on, beep, 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 beep. Right. And I know so many that live with permanent disabilities that do the same thing. And they still progress and they still grow tremendously. And, the suffering part is when we allow ourselves to, when we take on the victimization. I want to be able to say this well. That causes the suffering. Bless you. And bless you again. When you sneeze on a statement, you know how profound that is.
I've muted it, but you're still catching the sneeze.
Yeah, absolutely. But the point is that being and playing the victimization, the why me, is what causes the suffering. Because if you sit there and think you've done such harm, or you've been a bad boy or bad girl, because that's what it really comes down to. Everybody that you see lashing out there, that's actually a defense mechanism that shields them from hating themselves and feeling that self-denigrating type of energy constantly and continuously. So in other words, if I can be angry and if I can project that out onto my neighbor, I don't have to be angry with me. But to the extent, and I use it as a barometer, to the extent that people lash out towards others is the extent that they despise themselves. And that's a hard thing to understand.
Or have a wound that gets to be healed.
Totally. If you allow yourself to really go in there and recognize that, then that's when the healing starts really to take full energy and go in a positive direction, is realizing how much we don't like ourselves. And that's what victimization does, because the only way that you can say, why is this happening to me? It's an automatic assumption that I'm not good enough. And the sentence actually is, that's the reason why it's happening to me. So there never is a why. We only ask the question why to try to project it out of us, to distract us from feeling that I'm causing this. But whenever when you got a kid and it's like, why are you yelling at me, to mom or dad, or why are you picking on me? That's not what they're asking. It's just like, what's wrong with me that you hate me so much? What's wrong with me that you're picking on me? What's wrong with my life? What am I doing wrong that I'm making this happen? So there's always this unconscious understanding and belief that was ingrained inside of us that it had to be me, it's my fault. We take on blame for everything. And there's proof of that all over the place. Whether it's children, that I was a social worker, I'm still a social worker, and I work with colleagues that went into abusive homes and removed the child from that abusiveness. And on the way out, the child is screaming, no, it's not mommy and daddy's fault. It's my fault. I make them mad. I'm bad, right? That's a child. Well, guess what? There is a program called Interact that helps to protect women in domestic violent situations. Okay. So when they go to remove the woman and saying you need to get yourself into a safe place and you need to leave him, right, because he's abusing you, what does the woman turn around and say? It's not his fault. It's my fault. I make him mad. So
I
we've
think they
got
actually labeled that Stockholm syndrome, where
totally. Go ahead.
well,
Yeah.
where the kidnapped victim ends up looking at the kidnappers with empathy and sympathy for the kidnappers, instead of realizing this is my butt on the line and taking care of oneself.
Right. Oh, definitely. And so if we do that as adults, think of everything else that we're doing when we say that victimization. Why is this happening to me? We are blaming ourselves for everything. Now, yes, do we have responsibility because we're manifesting beings? Of course. But the suffering that we wind up replicating, so much of it is unconscious. And then we get caught up in somebody else's suffering as well, because we attach ourselves, we follow, we don't, because we don't trust ourselves in our own choices, we wind up going along with what other people saying. And so many people in the world were made to feel bad about themselves, whether it was because of war, because of famine, because of whatever, the stock market that we were just talking about, because of economics or anything. Well, I invested wrong, I'm so bad, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not. Think of all of that that's going on. There's where the suffering lies, is in believing that you are no power at all, that you are undeserving of happiness, that you're not worthy of achieving your dreams. That's where it all winds up boiling down to why it hurts so much.
So I'm going to share a little example in my life, and then I want to bring it globally, big picture here with right now, and how we work on this. So last year, I 2 years ago, I qualified for the World Championships in triathlon, 8th graded. Yay!
Wow.
My thank you. My daughter needed heart surgery the day of and she's doing great. She's doing amazing. But the day that I was supposed to do the World Championships, I'm so honored I was there at the surgery. And she's awesome. I'm so happy about that. Last year, I got my butt kicked in the national championships. I was first place after the swim, second place after the bike, fell apart on the run. Didn't have my training quite down. It's okay. Started training for this year. We're going to do it. We're going to be great. This is the year I get to go and get my world championships, blah, blah, blah. And I don't need to beat anybody. This is just, fun. It's really just fun. And went to the gym this winter, daughter in daycare. She got sick, family got sick. She got sick again. We took her back to daycare. She got sick, family got sick. Third time she gets sick, we get sick. Working on this new diet because I had my head injury 3 years ago. And so working on getting my brain even stronger. And I ended up for a few weeks sounding like a stroke victim. There was a doctor who was ready to call 911 as I showed up in his office because I couldn't find words because of the diet I was put on to try to help took me apparently in the reverse direction. Then all these other strange things happened with travel recently. And just 2 days ago, I said, we've got national championships in a month. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. The most loving thing I can do for myself is not do that to myself, because I will end up suffering. I will end up disappointed. I will end up with even more. I'm going to cry. And it's so trite. It really is. Heartache and heartbreak. But I'm recognizing that the most loving thing I can do is not say, push harder, try harder, put yourself in a difficult situation, try to slay the dragon. But instead, the most loving thing I can do is step back. How at this time do we all get to this place where the whole world is telling us you have to do, you have to go, you have to be, and now your savings are going to be down, the this, you're going to have to work. How do we say the most loving thing I can do is not buy into this?
I was just saying that I'm taking it all in because I will answer that. I want to preface it by, I was a professional actor. You brought it up. All right. What I thought was a regret is that I never did Broadway. I always wanted to do a show on Broadway. Okay. And so I had been pushing for that, and I was kept trying in different ways. I kept trying, I kept hitting, I kept coming this close. A matter of fact, for a whole year, I was being held for the part of Gyp DeCarlo in Jersey Boys, which is one of the leading roles. And they wanted me, the casting director wanted me, the production manager wanted me, the musical director wanted me, and the guy wasn't leaving yet. He was able to renew his contract, though he was going to be moving on, and they figured as soon as he moves on, they were going to put me in that place. That went on for a year. I kept doing auditions, and you wind up going in front of the same casting director. And she kept telling me, Vince, just let me know if you're going to do anything else first, or if you're being offered anything else first. Just remember that. Please let me know. So I know that they were really hot on me. Okay. And I was, oh, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get on Broadway. I'm going. So I'm waiting. Finally, there's the opening. Right. And the casting director is so excited about calling me up, come back in. Okay, Vince, we need you to come back in again because now the director wants to see you. Now, the funny thing is, when a director finishes directing a Broadway show, they're done, they leave. The assistant director and the choreographer recast, and the casting director recast every time there's a replacement. Director is gone. No, not Jersey Boys. Jersey Boys, the director comes back because he wants to cast every replacement. So he sees me. Now, granted, I don't look like the original Gyp DeCarlo because he had him at 6'1" and not very Italian looking at all. So I auditioned. I'm all revved up. I'm all excited. I leave the audition. I get a text from the casting agent. The director doesn't think you can do the part. You're not subtle enough for the role. My heart was broken because I thought for sure this was going to be it. This was even while I was being a psychic part-time. I never thought I was going to be a speaker and a psychic full-time at all, no less be on these incredible podcasts, right? And so I was heartbroken until this happened and everything turned. And I now had a chance to do all the spiritual work because I let that go. I said, okay, I can't fight against the universe or my soul, which is trying to tell me, because your soul is always part of that decision-making process.
Yeah.
And even though the conscious mind is saying, I want to do this, I'm working towards this, I got to do this, that's what I'm meant to do. And your soul is saying, no, that wasn't your plan. No, you don't understand. You're meant to do this, but that helped you. That at least got you to know what you're capable of. That at least showed the tenacity that you have and the passion that you have. That's good. Now use all that stuff for this. And it took me a long time, Michael, to get to that place. But once I gave into it, I wasn't giving in like I threw my hands up like I lost something. I actually threw my hands up because I gained something. I was like, why didn't you tell me? And the universe was trying to tell me all along because I always kept coming this close. I almost landed on Broadway when I was younger in Les Miserables, almost this close. And I kept being directed in a different way.
I love the this close, because the this close to me, it's something I teach. The this close to me doesn't mean you were that close. It's a punctuation mark from the universe Pay attention to this. Timing is everything, because we always were taught you just blew it. If only you had done the tiny bit more. If only you had been a little bit more subtle for the director. If only, but there is no if only. You were set up, and to recognize that moment as a setup for your greatness, if you choose to see it that way and open your eyes to that possibility.
Well, you know what I tell everybody? Okay, when we came down to earth, it was
Yes.
we were let loose in a Toys R Us without any adult supervision. Okay. And when I took my grandkids out, we were babysitting them, or we take them to a store and we wanted to treat them to something, right? I never turned around and said to them, go in the store and whatever toy you want, go ahead, you can have it. Because they had no idea what they really wanted, what they would really enjoy, because they were young, because there are so many things out there that may look good. It's just like, oh, I want to get this. I'm like, I don't think you're going to like that, because you had that last year and you didn't even touch it after a day at home. But I have a feeling you would like this because I know you, right? And that's what the universe is telling us. We know you, and we know what your real plan is. It's this, not that. You think you're going to enjoy that. You think you want that. That's only because you got so conditioned and you got caught up in it, got caught up in the competition and the competitiveness with yourself. You got caught up in that. But in actuality, this is what you're supposed to use all your passion for. So if this is, so you ask, the question is, how do you get there? Okay. If you keep hitting a brick wall at whatever you're striving for, stop. Because it really is dumb to constantly go into the brick wall. It hurts, really hurts. Right?
Yes.
There's suffering right there, okay? Is knocking your head into the brick wall. Step back and finally ask, okay, I'm asking my higher self, I'm asking my soul, I'm asking the universe, I'm asking all the ones who know the best. Which direction should I go in right now? I'm willing to go in, and this is the caveat. You can't ask without the willingness to go there when you're told. You will get a message. You will get a sign as to where you're meant to go and what you've chosen, truly chosen for yourself, not what you think you've chosen for yourself. You just have to step back and ask. And I was always afraid to ask, because the interesting thing, Michael, which is so crazy, and I'll ask you to even go in within yourself to see if the same thing happened to you. I was afraid to ask because I was afraid I was going to hear, you're not meant to do the acting. But because I wasn't sure of what I was meant to do with this psychic therapist, spiritual teacher, author kind of thing, and that never entered my mind, all I cared about is that I was going to be told that I couldn't do what I thought I loved the most. Had I been and continued to be arrogant and obstinate and refusing to ask that question, had I continued that, I would not be happy today. I would not be fulfilled today. This is the most rewarding work that I am doing now. And even if I was on Broadway, that would have just been Broadway. I would have only touched maybe the people, the audiences that came to see me. Right now, I'm touching the world. And you're touching the world. And this is what we're meant to do because it brings us such incredible joy. So back away from what you think you're supposed to get. It's the bird in hand thing, is if you want to know if it belongs to you, open your hands up. And if it stays there in your hands, then it's meant to be yours. If it goes and it flies away, then it's not meant to be yours. Something greater is. It's always better than what you think it is.
Thank you. An array of sunshine, a drop of sunshine is never lost. So 14 years of age, I'm on stage. I'm a freshman at my high school, which has the leading troupe for all of New England, won the award for best drama department every year. And here's this freshman with a lead role, completely unheard of. And I rocked it. And when I switched schools a year and a half later, the director recognized me and he goes, I need you in everything. I need you, I need you, I need you. And I said, I quit acting. I have stopped acting. I want to go in this other path with bicycle racing at the time. I had this dream of being an actor and I put that aside for my bicycle racing dream. You put aside your dream, but the ray or drop of sunshine is never lost means all of your skills, all of your talents that were going to be on Broadway were meant to be here. We're meant to be here. We're meant to be here, out on the mic, everywhere. All of my skills weren't meant to be the next Adam Sandler of a Michael Sandler. they
Right.
were meant for something else. But the thinking mind gets stuck with a you blew it, bad decision. If you only you had, but it was actually all a setup for you. All of those skills were just slightly misaligned because we hold on so damn tightly. So I was going to do this race next month, and I still hope to. I still hope to not do that race, but when the time is right, I want to see what I can do with others if the time is meant to be right. But because I don't have to train this hard, tomorrow, because we're leaving Florida in a few weeks, I'm going to Disney World with my daughter. How does it get any better than this? Which I wouldn't if I was training this month.
That's right.
That's
Amazing.
self-love.
Definite self-love. And like you said, that drop of sunshine that doesn't go away, that rainbow doesn't go away. Guess what I did last April?
Here it comes.
I was in Jersey Boys here at a
Woo-hoo!
local professional theater, and I worked with actors from the Broadway cast. It was an amazing production. I did my role, and I had a blast. And it was just all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, I was just sitting back, and I said, "Hey God, you know what? I'm in a mood to do a show. Could you bring a show that nearby that I could do?" And within that week, my daughter calls me up and says, "Oh, you're not going to believe it. I'm in Theater North is going to do Jersey Boys. Dad, you certainly can get into that." And I go, "Oh, no, I'm still doing this. But yeah, I would love to do that show. Jersey Boys, geez, I can't believe that that's coming along." Well, I don't know. So I turned back to God and I said, "Listen, the producer knows me. The director knows me. I work with them both. If I'm meant to do this show, let them send me an invitation to do it." Right? Mind you, this is an equity show. We're talking union show here, right? With Broadway people. And all of a sudden, as soon as Michael, I just finished that sentence and I had my phone in my hand because I was about ready to check my emails. And at the top of my emails, the new messages that came in was a message from a casting agent from New York. I'm like, a casting agent from New York, a personal message. And I go and I open it up and it says, "Mr. Vincent Genna, the production team of Jersey Boys would like to invite you to come do the part of Gyp DeCarlo if you're interested." You've got to be kidding me. Is it that easy? But Michael, it is that easy. That's what you brought up. I didn't have to work hard to get that job because I was doing all the work that I was really meant to do. And this was going to bring me more joy. And the universe wanted to give me more joy. It even says it in the Bible, ask for more, ask for more. When you're enjoying your life, ask for more because there's unlimited things that you can have in your life. We got to get past, like you said, all this suffering, everything you see on the planet, really. And you think about it, think about the metaphor that's going on, right? You've got the Russian Putin wanting more land, wanting more. And then you got Israel wanting to get back, want more, they keep wanting something because they're unfulfilled within themselves. Or I want to make you suffer because I'm suffering, right? All of this. And all they want is love. All they want is people caring. All they want is their brothers and sisters and their families. If you look at this as one big giant family, the siblings are having temper tantrums because they don't think they're getting enough attention. And it usually is, and it's mostly because they're not feeling good about themselves. It's always about that. It's always about that.
So would you say humanity is lost then right now? Sorry, I'm jumping in on you, but this is that family. Has the family of humanity gotten lost? What do we do globally to get unlost? And then I gotta go because there are people losing their jobs right now, potentially losing their homes, their finances, everything. This is rubber hit the road. But how do we get unlost? I don't even know if unlost is the right term because that puts judgment on ourselves. First, let's go to, is humanity lost? How do we get humanity unlost?
Okay. Well, as long as you can look in the mirror and you see an image, you're not lost. Okay.
Show's over. We're good.
That's it. We're good. Okay. What we have to do is get reconnected.
Thank you.
We lost our connection to our higher self, the highest being, to that force that lets us know that we're more than just humans.
Yeah.
So you need a belief. You need to believe in something. You need to believe that you're more than this physical being. You need to believe there's more than this life here. As a matter of fact, we're going through the suffering, and it really is an illusion, which is why we're going to get onto the other side and kick ourselves thinking this was real. And that we fed into this whole little play, this whole little scenario by playing war with each other and cowboys and Indians and thinking that really mattered and that was meaningful. It is not. Or playing the game of achievement. Oh, that you have to achieve the top rung. You've got to become the CEO. You've got to win that Academy Award and that Emmy or that Oscar. You've got to make $1 billion. Otherwise, you've lost. That is all that illusion, right? That we have to get rid of and get beyond, right? Is reconnect to your unlimited source. We're looking for it on the outside of ourselves, which is why we're failing. The source is on the inside of you. Go within. And each, you can't have a globe of people without the individuals. I always love those that said, there is no I in the word we. Well, of course not. It's a W and it's an E. Of course, there's no I in it. But did you ever come to understand there is no we without the I's, without the individuals? So how do you get a we without a group of ones, of people that come together? So you've got to individually reconnect to the higher part of you. Go within, recognize you're more than, go into that closet and start healing those, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And you can, because you're an adult with a rational, reasonable, reliable thinking brain for the most part. Yes, there's those outliers that have some mental pathologies there, and it seems like there's more than lately than not. But really, we're intelligent enough to be able to raise a child and reparent ourselves and let our individual know how magnificent and wonderful we really are. We have to go in there to do that. Then what happens is you wind up projecting that onto others. You start walking around with a bigger smile. You start saying hello to your neighbor. You do things to make them feel good. You buy them a cup of coffee. You open up the door for them and say, hey, I really care about you. You start doing those wonderful things, and that's how it dominoes down the line. Again, back to Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot only needed to find 11 or wake up 11 spiritual people. That was just the concept of critical mass. We're not looking to turn everybody into a perfect holy roller walking around like the Dalai Lamas here. No, we just need enough that will compensate for all the negative that's going on. So the more you do individually for yourself, you're automatically helping your brother and sister. If we are all one, which we are, then that means you are also your brother and sister. So the way you treat them is also the way you treat yourself. So start with the self then, and it will go out and branch out into others. You will do these wonderful things. And it's not hard to do. It's just a light switch. The process is easy, the
Yeah.
practice is difficult, because on a daily basis, and you mentioned it earlier, there are the scars, and those scars can get reinflamed if you are not gentle with yourself. I talk with little Vinny on a daily basis, because if I don't, then little Vinny wants to turn around and say, you're not deserving, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, because he was scarred, right? When you look at the abuse or the suffering you've been through in your life, the circumstances, if you focus just on that human side of you, then yes, that can hurt again. But if you recognize and realize that you are more than, and that you are the spiritual being, it will compensate for that, and that will win out over the human side left brain thinking. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, it's perfect. So,
Just
so
gonna say.
you take little Mikey. Little Mikey today watches the stock market go kaboom, and little Mikey has been channeling and knowing a lot of what's coming, and going, why didn't you take it out? Why didn't you go to gold? Why didn't you do this? Now that's the little Mikey. There's the spiritual side of me. So I got this going on. But what do we each do when we start kicking ourselves, and that little one inside of us says, and people are going to be doing this. People are going to be listening to this going, you're right. Why didn't I do this with my savings? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do the other thing? And that kicking oneself and regret and self-worth starts flaming or inflaming, as you're saying, back up. How do we bring it back to love and back to the heart and back to giving ourselves that bear hug and saying, it's okay. It's okay. I love you. I love you. I love you. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You go to my website, or you go online and you Google on YouTube, Bob Newhart, Stop It. It's an SNL skit, and it's fabulous because he charges $5 for only 5 minutes of therapy. And the woman is sitting in front of him telling the things that she's thinking, and that she fears,
I can already
this
see him
and
doing
that.
this.
And he turns around and he says, okay, so you're ready for my advice? Stop it.
Saw it coming.
And it's the funniest piece of advice, because here's the thing. People constantly telling me they can't control their thoughts. And I'm like, truly, you think you can't control your thoughts, right? Did you have to go to the bathroom today? And they go, yes. Now, I know this sounds like real crazy. I said, well, did you just pee out in the middle of the street? Well, of course not. I wouldn't pee out in the middle of the street. Well, what made you stop peeing, not to pee out in the middle of the street? Well, I told myself I've got to go to find a bathroom. Oh, so you can control your thoughts. So how can you control them for some, but not for others? You can control them at any time. You got to break the pattern. You've got to break the habit of blaming yourself. And you do that initially. Now I'm going to throw out some cognitive behavioral therapy for you. All right. I don't care if you wear a rubber band and you're in the middle of, I should have, I can't believe how stupid I am. Snap the rubber band and distracted, immediately stop. In my
Pattern
book, I
interrupts.
immediately get pattern interruption, right? There's so many ways to interrupt that pattern. Just yell out, stop it, stop, stop. Become aware. I actually call it a 3A system, all right? First, be aware that you just said something negative, feeling something negative. You heard it. That's also the reason for mindfulness. The more mindful you are, the more you're paying attention to your thoughts. And you want to pay attention to your thoughts because that's how you get to control them. It's when they're fleeting and you're not paying attention that they run by you and you didn't even know you had the thought, but meanwhile, the behavior is following the thought you just had. So you just stop. Okay. Now you have to acknowledge where that thought came from. Now I'm going to say something that sounds unreasonable,
Yeah.
but
I like it.
Unless you have a mental pathology, all adults are rational, reasonable, reliable, and stable. All adults are rational, reasonable, reliable, and stable. But the part that isn't is the child within. Children are not rational, reasonable, reliable, and stable. So therefore, every time you have a fear, a doubt, you're self-denigrating, self-criticizing, that is not the adult in you that's doing that. It is the child within you that has lost control and is taking over. So the adult stops and acknowledges, wait a minute, that thought, I should have done this and I should have that. That is not the adult in me, because that makes me feel bad. I would never make myself feel bad if I was in control as the adult. So that must be little me that feels undeserving, unworthy, not good enough, not smart enough. So stop. And now you have to affirm the truth for that inner child. That's not true. You've made so much better choices in your past. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come this far. People think, Michael, that they'll take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back, right? Based on that reasoning, everybody should be back in their mother's womb a long time ago, all right? It's not true. For the most part, most people take 10 steps forward and only 2 steps back. It only seems like you've gone that far back. So you have to keep creating the evidence for yourself that you've done more good than you've done bad.
Thank you. So I want to take this, since we're going, I'm trying to thread my needle without going into any politics here, because I love everybody. I truly do. I truly do. You cannot convince me not to love you, no matter what. I may not need to stay in the same room as you, but I shall love you. If the body politic, if a leader, and I'm not picking on anybody, or if a country, or if a whatever seems to be acting like the child in the room, how do you not let it go to your inner child so that you have a party going? I was mentioning to you, I think off air, that I woke up yesterday morning with this feeling of dread and foreboding. And I'm going, this ain't even mine.
That's such a great question. It really is. How do you not let them affect you? How do you not let any of the negative of the world affect you? How do you not get caught up in hatred? How do you not get caught up in any of that? Is by appreciating who you are more, recognizing that that's their energy, that's the kids naturally get caught up in the fights, right? A matter of fact, Lord of the Flies.
Oh,
right?
gosh, yes.
That book was all about that story, where a school of kids get stranded and cast away on an island, and the adults die, right? So it's just the kids, and they form, like, there's 3 different groups of them: the bullies who want to take over, the real passive ones, and then the good ones who are kind of helping the passive ones. All right, you've got to look towards your strength. You've got to look towards your own mind. You do not have to get caught up in someone else's negativity. Remove yourself from it. Now, I am not one that says turn off the news and don't watch it, because it happens whether you're watching it or not. And again,
The energy is still the energy.
The energy is still the energy, and you can't heal what you don't see needs healing. However, if at the time, it's the same thing I tell people who used to come to me with major depressive disorder. I tell them, listen, I'm going to recommend you go to a psychiatrist and you get put on an antidepressant temporarily. What the antidepressant will do, it will stop the negative thought spiral, and it'll give you a chance to do some self-work and healing, but then you can go off it. So I'm telling people, stay away or remove yourself from the negative if you find yourself getting caught up in it. And a lot of people are. Their anger is coming out, and they become enraged just because of the new news that they just heard. And let's face it, almost every single day there's new news here, just in the United States alone, that can enrage people, right? You got to back away from it, turn it off for a little bit, and keep reinforcing your control. All right. No, can I run the country right now? No, I'm not in that type of control, but we are in control, because then what I say is start feeding into the positive energy pool, whether it be your leader, whether it be your neighbor. Reinforce for them what you would want them to reinforce for themselves. What beliefs would you want them to have for themselves? Always feed into the positive in that way, and then realize that you are not that negative. You are, and I hate to put it this way, but you're better than that negative, right? You can look, you can, what do you think these programs are? Go listen to another Michael Sandler podcast someplace, right? Go for a run or go for a walk. Do something positive. Pick up a spiritual book and start reading it. You've got to do something positive to overtake the negative, but you can't just sit there and wallow in it. People tend to wallow, and they get into that pity party. You've got to get out of the pity party. That is in your control. Do everything that is in your control, and that is control your own thoughts, control your beliefs, start forming ones that are going to empower you rather than disempower you. We can all sit here right now, and half of us in the United States can turn around and say, oh, that's it. We're all lost. Oh, we're going to have problems. There goes this, there goes that. I'm not going to have money. I'm going to lose all of this. There goes my funds. There goes. And you can get caught up in that if you allow yourself to. But like this whole conversation was about, stop that thinking, because you will then manifest it for yourself, whether it has to do with a leader or whether it has to do with just you. Manifest a positive. And it doesn't seem like in the midst of negative that you can do that. There has always been, since the beginning of time, there has always been a creation of positive, no matter what negative was happening all around us. And that's based on your attitudes and your beliefs, and they start with your attitudes and beliefs about yourself. I don't know if that gives a great example or explains it, and maybe somebody is going to keep saying, well, then how do you do that? We'll just re-listen to this program, because we've been saying it over and over and over again.
Thank you. As we've been going through this interview, since early on, and since you mentioned something, as it was already coming to me, that the universe loves to throw me lyrics. And so it was giving me the lyrics, and then you said banging your head against the wall, and it affirmed the lyrics right there. And it just, as you're speaking right now, the lyrics just keep coming up and coming up. So I had to just go Google it and look it up. John Lennon, Instant Karma, also known as We All Shine On. And it says, instant karma is going to get you, knock you right on the head. You better get yourself together. Pretty soon you're going to be dead. What in the world you thinking of, laughing in the face of love? What on earth you trying to do? It's up to you. Yeah, you. In other words, if you focus on the damn negative, that's what you're gonna get. Knock you right up on your head. What in the world you thinking of, laughing in the face of love? If you realize you are love, you come from love, you couldn't be anything other than love, and that there's this loving, there's a beautiful forest behind you, it looks like. If you look at that forest, if you look at that greenery, if you focus on that love, that sounds so trite, but we are creators. We have forgotten this. We've forgotten this for thousands of years. And we're taught it ain't true. We're taught we're less than. We're taught we're only human. It's bullshit. If we...
Yes, thank you for that one, too. We're only human. That's supposed to be a blessing, not a detriment. But we use those things and those terms as detriments. Again, the brain comes up with excuses, a new set of beliefs to shield you from your self-beliefs, excuses for those things. Affirm the positive. And you know what's really interesting, Michael, and why this is all bullshit, and why people are saying and doing things that they don't really believe? Because when push comes to shove, and we just had major devastation over here in North Carolina.
Asheville, oh my God.
Right? Well, guess what? There were Black men pulling Confederate people out of the mud and helping their families. There were gay guys doing that, and women and lesbians, and there were Muslims helping everybody at the same time, and nobody cared what anybody looked like. All they knew is my family is hurt and they're suffering, and we're trying to help each other. If we can just be focusing on that's who we really are, and the rest is just nonsense and a bunch of crap, right? We're pulling people out of the rubble. And so that means something. Let's stop creating the rubble, because that will continue to happen on this planet until we wise up and wake up and recognize we're one big giant family here. As long as we're going on into songs, we are family.
We are family. And I'm going to give you one more line from the song in a minute. I can't help it. Instant karma's gonna get you. Instant karma's gonna get you. Gonna look you right in the face. Better get yourself together, darling. Join the human race. How in the world you gonna see? Laughing at fools like me. Sorry, I've got the lyrics totally off. Who in the hell do you think you are? A superstar? Well, right you are. Better join the human race. Look it right in the face. Who the hell you think you are? You're a superstar. That's what every one of these people is that you're mentioning was a superstar, joining the human race, all together as one, coming together, pulling those out of the mud, not saying, well, you're a Confederate and you voted red and you aren't against transgender or someone who's gay, or I'm going to help you, period, because that's who and what I am. I'm a superstar. You're a superstar. My God, John Lennon, thank you for coming through today. I'm sorry I could not sing your song.
With it, absolutely. And he was way ahead of his time and in his time, and always had the right messages. And so it just like Imagine, right? And what the world needs.
Of course.
All we need is love, right? All of them, all of those songs, they were all so meaningful. And we've had these messages over and over and over and over again. And now we have to start believing in the message. They're not idealistic. That's also a word that I wish was in the dictionary, because people look at what you and I are teaching and talking about and saying, that's idealistic, that'll never happen. Well, that's baloney. It can happen. It has happened in the past. And that's what's going to heal the world, is that.
I'm teaching our School of Mystics. This month's theme is hope. And I say, hope is love made manifest. It is believing something. And because of that belief, you create it.
Totally.
You absolutely create it. The hope is there because you have a belief. I hope things will get better, and I can envision them getting better. Therefore, by design, they will get better.
Well, they have no choice in getting better, because that's what the Alpha and the Omega is. If you ever wonder what he was meant by that, I'm the beginning and I'm the end. What did that mean? Well, what that meant was the beginning and the end were created for us. The middle was given to us to create. So this is the middle that we are experiencing right now, the middle of our true stories and who we really are. We can change the middle anytime that we want to make it a little bit more positive than what it is right now. How about a lot more positive, right? Instead of just waiting until the ending. We don't need the ending, because we want to know how creative we are. We're co-creators. We want to be able to create the piece. We don't want it to end that way just because Source created it that way. We want to discover ourselves in that creation. That's what we're attempting to do right now. Yeah, it may be taking a while. We're even getting some outside help from that, brothers and sisters from highly evolved universes that are trying to come down and let us know who we really are. And even them, we're making, oh, this is, all the government has a conspiracy going on, hiding all of this stuff. It's like, no, it's not. They're coming around. They're making themselves apparent to us. And it's all about helping us. That's all we need to know. And let's just take it all in. Let's just keep creating even more and building on top of all of that self-love. Like you say, we can do it because we need to do it, and we'll change things. We can absolutely change things. Is it a guarantee the middle is going to be changed? Not necessarily, not unless you do the work. If you do the work within, you will absolutely help to change that middle part and make it what it was meant to be. You know, if Buddhism says suffering comes from looking at the world in how you hope it should be. And that's what psychologists say. Like, no, we should be looking at the world the way we know it could be. That's the
Also
way
heard.
we could be looking at the world because
Amen.
we know it could be better than this. And when you have that belief, then that's when you start manifesting the truth about what this world could be.
Well, we all shine on like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on. Everyone, come on. When we see the vision, when we hold that vision, Buddhism, pain may be required. If you get run over by a car, it gonna hurt. Suffering, the label we place on it is completely optional. If the label you place on it is, forgive me, because I've been there, I'm in a wheelchair, let's go do wheelies.
Exactly. Let me tell you something. There's some benefits about being in a wheelchair, you know. You can actually go further before your legs start getting tired.
And maybe
So,
you even have a better parking space. And I'm not making light of this.
oh no, you
There.
do. I know you do. You absolutely. And somebody opens up a door for you and stuff, and they're always kinder to you, you know. And that's the sad part, is that it's easier to be kinder to a person that has a disability than just a regular average person just walking through the door.
Or to yourself. It's easier to be kinder to somebody else. In fact, we're taught that. Something is strange about the whole golden rule: do as to others as you would unto yourself. Well, that's a dangerous place to be because we don't treat ourselves well.
Absolutely, absolutely, Michael. Definitely, without a doubt. So we know what needs to be done, and everybody knows what needs to be done, and it starts with the belief in yourself, and that's what needs to be done, and you'll do it because we are these incredible beings, and it's okay. And that's the other part that you just said in the song that I did want to bring up that I just remembered is we have to stop feeling bad about feeling special.
Thank
To
you.
stop feeling bad about feeling special. That's why I have a whole program on the ego. The whole reason we were given ego is to feel good about ourselves and to identify ourselves, me from you, in that way. That's all ego means. It's the defense mechanisms that got in the way that start making us act in ways that we're not. But we are meant to feel special because we are. I have my clients calling me, and so many of them turn around and say, I feel so bad because I always thought that I was special when I was a kid, but now I'm not doing anything special. Well, that's because the specialness was taught out of you, because you were told that you're arrogant and that you're narcissistic if you believe you're special. No, just so that everybody knows, a narcissist does not believe he or she is special. It's
So
just the
true.
opposite. They believe that they are worse than everybody on the planet. And so their compensation, their brain compensates for creating a different set of beliefs for themselves just to be able to function. But truly, a narcissist, if you really listen to one, spends more time dimming everybody else's light in order for his or her own light to seem like it's shining brighter. But you can tell that a true narcissist winds up shooting themselves in the foot and making themselves look worse because they're trying so hard to look better than. But for you and me and the average person, we are supposed to feel special because we are special. We're children of a higher entity and being. We don't come from nothing. We come from something special. So something special cannot create anything less than itself.
All right. On that note, and I know we can keep going on and on and on, like the moon and the stars above. You have You have a George Norrie special. You have an event coming up April 19th in Charlottesville that the whole world needs to be at. What's this event?
Absolutely, you need to come to it in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yes, it's good. George is going to be there. There's three of us there. It's going to be a very special event and really empowering again. I try to do events and shows that are empowering to people, giving them different tools, giving them different methods and philosophies to be able to take that help empower everybody. That's the whole point. That's what the work I like to do. So yes, I have that coming up on the 19th, and they can go to my website and see all the other events that I'm doing. But it's time to really get as much light out there as possible, and everybody can contribute to that. Everybody can.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What's the website?
It's vincentgenna.com, and that's with a Genna. I've got my podcasts up there. I've got, my book up there, The Secret That's Holding You Back, that you can get. And that truly gets to those inner core beliefs that we were talking about, because that's where my work really evolves from, is getting into the garbage that's influencing the manifesting power, because most people don't believe what they think they believe. And for your listeners that are thinking, oh, I believe in myself, I love myself, I know myself. You might not. If you're not manifesting what you want, you're not. Go back in there. I love what you have.
Well, you talked about, going into Toys R Us earlier. And,
yes.
and I do have a 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and she loves to take this toy. So I had to buy a second one for myself. This is Sharky. Sharky is the tool I use when I do shadow work with people, or anything where we're going to dive into that quote unquote darker. There is no judgment here, the darker side of things, because we are afraid of what we're going to see. And so we have this snow globe where we're worried there's a shark inside of here. Oh, there's a shark. But if we look at the shark in the snow globe and we look deeply, what we see is
he's smiling.
The shark is smiling. There was nothing to be afraid of all along.
That's so well said. There is nothing to be afraid of. We are always made to feel bad about the mistakes that we've made. And like I said, going in full circle again, we heard more no's than we heard yeses. We had more punitive things thrown against us. So yes, so we feel bad about the mistakes or the lower choices we've made, when you shouldn't be throwing that judgment at yourself. It's just a learning experience, and you grow from it, or you don't, or it takes some time. But eventually you're going to find out that it was all an illusion anyway. You're good. Believe me, you're good no matter how bad you think you are. You're still good.
Woohoo! There was one quote from earlier I wanted to mention. Then I have one last question for you. First off, I'm hearing Dr. Wayne Dyer saying, row, boat, row your boat. Life is but a dream. But because that's the illusion. But before that, I heard from Dr. Wayne Dyer again, came through earlier, and he said, if you do, you are. If you don't, you're not. And that is one of the leading statements that gets us in trouble. That is that whole statement of a lack of self-worth. If I do, then I am. I must keep slaying the dragons. If I don't, then I'm not. We have it backwards. What if just by being, you are magnificent? Just by being, you are enough. Just by being, you are changing the world. So I've got to ask, Vincent, are you hopeful for the future? And any last words you want to share with everyone today?
Am I hopeful for the future? Yes, because we're still here. As long as we're still here, and as long as the planet is still here, that means there's the capacity to be able to change all we desire and all we need to change, right? So, yes, believe in yourself. Hold this mantra as my last words that I would like to leave with you. I love myself so much, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to have my greatest experience here, because I deserve it. I love myself so much, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to have my greatest experience here, because I deserve it. Do what you need to do. You will have your greatest experience here. And there's always more beyond that, and for each other as well. So just go for it. You guys are great. And just believe, we believe in you. Michael and I believe in you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing these shows.
Of course not. Woohoo! And do those wheelies, everybody. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun. You just know you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. You are love. You come from love. You couldn't be anything other than love. And you are a superstar. That's who you are. And above and beyond all else, like Vincent Genna, shine bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? How does it get any better than this? I can't believe I was trying to break into Lennon there. but it's so true. You are love. You come from love. You couldn't be anything other than love. On that note, if you want to bring your vibration up on a daily basis, up, 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 and way up, come on over to the School of Mystics. 4 Wednesdays each month, live and recorded, either which way, whatever works best for you. We do attunements to shift your energy, group intention meditations, teachings, clearings. There's a group, family, question and answer live with me, and we bring your energy up so that you can live at that higher plane each and every week. Link down below. That's the School of Mystics. And if you're seeing this in springtime, oh my gosh, do we have an amazing spring special for you. So come on over and join us for that. If you simply want to bring your energy up on a daily basis, come on over to dailywoohoo.com. My newsletter is an attunement that brings you up each and every day, and it's free. That's dailywoohoo.com. If you want to learn how to channel from the other side, automaticwriting.com as well. It's a beautiful place to start to hear from the other side, your loved ones, your angels, your guides. And if you just want to join us for the next show, click the next amazing show right here. Love you so, so much, and keep on shining bright. Woohoo! You're a superstar. That's who you are. I love you. I send so much love your way.